John Yarmuth is the only Democrat in Kentucky's congressional delegation, and on Monday he issued a statement that potentially could endanger his job, calling out the NRA and apologizing for being silent on gun control the last 6 years. Why were you silent until now?
Well, I think I've fallen into the trap that many of my colleagues have, and that is that when it doesn't look like there's going to be any action, you don't continue the drumbeat. And all we've seen over the last 6 years is an acceleration of mass murders, and this is not a time to be quiet.
Are you concerned that Louisville media market might be blanketed by NRA-funded ads in 2014?
Well, you know, again, I've had the F rating for some time. They haven't decided to take me on, but I would say please spend their money. I would hope they would, because it would be wasted. You know, the political power of the NRA is vastly overestimated. I called it illusory. Now, you can look and see on almost a daily basis how the influence of the NRA in Congress through their contributions to candidates and this kind of threat of opposition affects legislation. But electorally, I don't think the NRA has a very good track record.
So then why are people afraid of them? And why didn't you speak out for all these years?
Well, that's, you know, again, you sometimes wonder, well, if nobody else is doing it, you know, every time there'd be a tragedy, including my colleague and classmate Gabby Giffords, there was a furor for a few days, and then the next news cycle comes and nobody continues. And that gets to be pretty frustrating. And I think for me and for many people, this last event was a tipping point, and it was kind of the last straw. After Aurora, after Columbine, after the Sikh temple, after all of these incidents, you just say, okay, we've just got to keep the drumbeat up, because it's when the drumbeat stops, that's when we lose our opportunity to make changes.
These shootings in recent years, so they've been relatively frequent and got a lot of media attention. The Post had a poll today showing that people saw them as isolated incidents, and poll after poll, until last week. And now there seems to be this change in public opinion and in what Congress men and women are willing to say. Do you think that leads to action, or have we seen this song before?
Well, we'll see. There are two things, well, there may be more than two things different. One is you now have a president committed to exerting leadership on this topic. If he holds to that promise, then I think that's an enormous difference from past events. Secondly, I think you're going to see teachers from around the country, parents from around the country, continue the pressure. They're going to put the pressure on us in Congress. They're going to put the pressure on their state legislators. They're going to put the pressure on their city council men and women. And that's what's going to be different there. And I think finally, there's a recognition when you see people like Joe Scarborough talking about how he was changed by this event, and a Joe Manchin and a Mark Warner, and people who had been strong guns rights advocates are now saying it's time to do something, then you've created the environment where change can happen, and probably will.
You don't fear for your seat based on your statement?
No, I really don't fear for my seat. Again, my views on guns have actually been fairly well known among those who cared. But if I were to lose my seat for championing life-saving measures and reasonable restrictions in ways to combat gun violence, can't think of any better way to do it.
Congressman Yarmuth, thanks so much for your time.
Sure, thank you.